Thank you for joining us today. Today we have two of our leaders in the Hadoop space from our offering management or product management teams. We have Prasad, who leads our Biginsights development, and we also have Steve Roberts, who leads our Hadoop OpenPOWER solution. So we are recording this webinar. You will receive a link to the webinar within the next 24 hours. If for some reason you need to leave or want to come back to the recording later. Your lines are on mute. Feel free to either raise your hand or ask any questions through the chat room, and we will reply either during the presentation or at the end of the presentation. So with that, Prasad, we'd like to welcome you as our speaker today to talk about what's new in Biginsights 4.3.
Thanks, Anna. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. So as Anna mentioned, I'm Prasad, manage the Biginsights portfolio of products. And I'm today joined by Steve Roberts, who is our product manager for Hadoop and Power portfolio. That said, today we are going to give a brief intro about Biginsights, intro and overview on Biginsights portfolio, and then we are going to get quickly into what's new that came out in the that's coming out in the 4.3 release. The tech preview is already out there, and we have the release scheduled for end of April. So we are going to quickly talk about what's new features that is part of that release. Okay, I'll go through
Prasad,
some brief intro slides.
You might need to refresh your screen. We're seeing a black screen right now.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay,
perfect.
I think we are, yeah, okay, sounds good. So we are currently living in the world of data. It is the new natural resource for us, right? So we have many devices pouring tons of data every day. So how to get value is where organizations are focusing their energy today, because getting insights from the data, tremendous amount of the data that have provides them with the needed insights to be very successful when leading in their area of business. Okay, so but only 15% of the organizations, based on the HBR Insight study that came out, have the capability to leverage the data that they have and use advanced analytics across their organization. As you can see, still tremendous amount of data, or more than 90%, that cannot be Googled yet. So a lot of potential to be unlocked from the data that the organizations have today. So how does IBM help? So we have our Biginsights portfolio and the analytics ecosystem of products. We have a core open platform, which is surrounded by a number of other IBM portfolio products. Right? So the core open platform is based out of ODPI, and then we have other components that are not currently part of the ODPI, and I'm going to cover what ODPI is very quickly. But surrounding that, we have quite a number of other products as well. The products that are highlighted in red belong to the Biginsights product portfolio, but then we have an ecosystem of products that work closely with Biginsights and provide additional value. So BigSQL, text analytics, and Big Sheets that you see that are highlighted in red are part of the Biginsights portfolio of products. Then we have other surrounding products such as SPSS, which is predictive analytics. We have big integrate, big quality, big match, streams, etc. Each offering a unique value to our customers. So IBM Open Platform is a completely open source distribution. So as you can see here, we have quite a number of components that are part of this IBM Open Platform. The ones that are highlighted in yellow,
Prasad, we're not seeing that. We're still seeing the slide that says over 90% of the world's data cannot be Googled.
I have some connectivity issues here. Yeah.
Okay.
So this slide shows our IBM Open Platform and the components that are part of our IBM Open Platform. As you can see, it is a fairly comprehensive distribution here, and we cover most of the aspects of the analytics portfolio, starting from ingestion. We offer a number of choices across each area. As for processing, we have MapReduce as well as Spark 2.1 that is part of our 4.3 release as choices for customers to use. We have 5 components here that are highlighted in yellow that are part of the ODPI certification. So we have MapReduce, HDFS, Hive, Yarn, Zookeeper. Those are ODPI certified components. And this distro can be downloaded from our website and for free, and customers can avail support if their focus is only using the IBM Open Platform. They can optionally decide to purchase our value add components either from Biginsights family or from our surrounding ecosystem of products that we saw in our earlier slide. So yeah, a small word about ODPI. ODPI is the Open Data Platform standards, and IBM is one of the platinum members driving the ODPI direction. So ODPI came out with both an operational spec, and it also released the runtime specification too in November of 2016. So as a part of this ODPI certification, we have the 5 components that you saw earlier that is governed by these operational spec and the runtime specifications. So our current release of Biginsights, which is 4.2, as well as the release that we are talking about, which is Biginsights 4.3, that is going to come out in April, both will be certified on ODPI. So on the open source area, IBM is always been a leading contributor in Spark. As you can see from this slide, IBM is one of the biggest contributors to Spark, next only to Databricks, the founder of Spark. So we have about 815 code changes committed to Spark so far. You can see all these details in the link that is part of this slide. As you can see from this slide, it's a tremendous amount of contribution from IBM in areas of Spark SQL, PySpark, as well as Spark machine learning. Okay. So surrounding our open source distribution, which we call as IBM Open Platform, the Biginsights portfolio offers a bunch of tools for our customers to get insights from the data lakes. So we have text analytics, which helps to look at the unstructured data and extract the patterns from the unstructured data. We have Big Sheets, which has a spreadsheet-like format for customers to get started really quickly, fairly easy to use tool. And then we have our Big SQL, which is our an enterprise SQL engine. It has one of the leading SQL engines today on big data. There's federation and performance capabilities that can help scale up to 100 terabytes of data, can run all the TP-CDS queries today. It's one of the leading SQL engines that we have.
Prasad, we have a question on this slide.
Yeah.
The question is Big R removed from the Biginsights version 4.3?
So Big R is still part of 4.3 release. And so Big R will be kept in the maintenance mode. What it means is we will not be adding new capabilities to Big R portfolio, but rather we are moving towards Spark R as part of Spark 2.1 and our ongoing efforts on Spark. We will continue to enhance Spark R, and along with Spark R, we have a project called Hydra R, so which is a Spark library. So along with Spark R and Hydra R, customers will be able to get the equivalent capabilities that they get today from Big R. So we are encouraging customers to move towards Spark R. While they still have an option to use Big R, we will be turning our focus towards Spark R. So I do have a slide about that later on. So, but anyways, thanks for bringing that up. Okay, so I have a picture of data lake here, so mainly to illustrate the fact that Big SQL will be, with its federation capabilities, can help customers leverage not only the data in our IBM Open Platform, but it can also connect to other data stores as well. So customers can bring the data together across the different type of data stores and get the needed insights.
Prasad, couple more questions.
Sure.
The first one is, how well is data from Biginsights HDFS integratable to IBM Cognos Analytics?
Yeah, good question. If they, it is pretty well integrated, so Cognos queries can leverage Big SQL, and so they can use their Cognos queries seamlessly with Big SQL and to get the data in the Hadoop.
Okay, and the next question is Apache, Zeppelin, or Jupyter part of the offering?
Okay, so we are jumping ahead to what's in 4.3, but since you asked that question, Zeppelin is not part of 4.3, but we are integrating with Jupyter as a notebook capability for 4.3, and we will also be providing integration hooks. So when IBM's data science experience comes out, they will be able to leverage that also with this IBM Open Platform.
Thank
with
you.
these releases, at least they will have one notebook in terms of Jupyter, and then when IBM's data science experience comes up, they will have two options as for notebooks. Okay, with that, let's get into, again, I started already getting a lot of questions on 4.3, so let's dive quickly into what 4.3 is all about. So before we get into 4.3, just wanted to give a broad overview of our focus here. So taking a high-level view, as you saw from the earlier slides, we can broadly classify our area of focus in two different buckets. One is the ability to get insights with all the tools that we provide, like Big SQL, Big Sheets, the notebook capabilities, and the machine language that we support today, including Spark MLlib, System ML, etc. So that's on one side. On the other side, we are making IBM Open Platform more and more enterprise ready. We are incorporating data replication capabilities with our Big Replicate product. The additions to Ambari and other components that you're going to see, bringing another rich set of capabilities and to add on top of what 4.2 provides for our customers. So these will be the major focus areas for us from 4.3. Let's get into more details. 4.3 is not generally available yet. We are targeting April for the 4.3 production release, but we have a tech preview that's already available. We announced it on Feb 21. We encourage our customers to take a look, download, get back to us with any questions. So the details of the tech preview can be found at this link below. And this tech preview is now available both on Intel as well as the Power Platform. Okay, so both the tech preview can be accessed at the links, and I have provided the link for the needed documentation for the tech preview as well. So again, download the tech preview, play around with it, and get back to us with any comments or questions.
Prasad, there's another question about Biginsights 4.3 specifically. The question is, what about the data science workbench? It wasn't said to be part of Biginsights 4.3, which again was said to support Zeppelin.
So that's what I mentioned as data science experience. That is the notebook. So the data science experience is not a part of Biginsights product as such. It is a product that we will integrate with. They are going to make an announcement about that availability very soon. But we have put in all the hooks into Biginsights so that when they make the announce that it is available, and they will be able to integrate it with Biginsights. Okay, so again, another point of clarification, data science experience notebook is available today in the cloud. And what we are talking about is the data science experience for on-prem version, right? So that is not released yet. They are going to make an announcement about it very soon. And as soon as that on-prem version of data science experience is announced, it will be they will be able to integrate it with Biginsights on-prem. Okay. So before we get into all the capabilities of Biginsights in 4.3, wanted to talk a little bit about our support on both Intel as well as Power Platforms. So Biginsights 4.3 currently will now support both Intel as well as the Power Platform. And I'm joined here today by Steve Roberts, our offering manager for Hadoop and the Power Platform. Want him to talk to you all about a little bit about the Power Platform and what's good with Biginsights 4.3 and Power. Steve?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Prasad. Yeah, for those who aren't familiar with Power Systems, so Power Systems is a family of servers, both produced by IBM and many other vendors under our OpenPOWER partnership, which I'll talk a bit more about, offering all Linux distros across the entire family. So one of our key value props here is just the flexibility that that family offers. We have Power in the cloud, classic scale-out type servers comparable to the 1U, 2U, 1-socket, 2-socket servers you'd see within the Intel mix today, along with some very high-end power systems that can provide rich virtualization and support of up to 172 core servers for really higher-end enterprise workloads. So lots of flexibility as it relates to the family, and lots of flexibility as it relates to both scaling up the capacity of individual nodes or adding accelerators on those nodes, and I'll cover that a bit more as well. Of course, one of the key tenets of Power is the price performance advantage that running key workloads, especially big data analytics workloads on Power systems can provide. So there may be still some perception out there in the market that Power systems are proprietary and Power systems are expensive. Neither of those are true today. Power systems are open through the OpenPOWER consortium, and Power systems are priced very competitively, and you can explore the web pricing yourself, often at a lower list price through our scale-out server family than comparable x86 models. Another feature of the Power servers is the cognitive ability to really run cognitive and AI workloads, as we see a lot of the foundational work moving from data lakes and augmenting and extending the value of data. Now many companies are, of course, now exploring how can you start to gain forward-looking insights through AI and cognitive capabilities. So we have a unique software package called Power AI that brings together a core set of open source deep learning frameworks that have been specifically optimized for Linux on Power to really take advantage of some of those core processor benefits that I mentioned. So the combination of Power AI for deep learning with Biginsights IOP for cost-effective Hadoop Spark infrastructure is a great sort of 1-2 combo to really see the benefits of the Linux on Power environment. Last item here is the flexibility of deployment models. IBM provides IBM Elastic Storage Server, which is a storage appliance that combines both a HDFS compatible file system with very resilient, scalable software-defined storage software. This allows an alternate configuration to the classic local storage model where you can have this separation of storage and compute, and with that both use Power servers on the compute side and then this Elastic Storage Server storage appliance, which also uses Power servers internally, to really allow you to right-size the Hadoop environment. Storage provides what you need in terms of accelerated optimized storage, and the compute can be sized for the workload. So no longer needing to purchase compute nodes just to obtain storage. So this is a configuration that will be available with a combination of Biginsights 4.3 with ESS and Spectrum Scale file system, offering significant TCO advantages. Next slide, please, Prasad.
Steve, we have a question for you.
Sure.
The question is, why was Hortonworks certified on Power? I have not heard where Biginsights is certified on Power.
Well, you're certainly hearing that now, right? With Biginsights 4.3 is fully tested, certified on Power, is available through the tech preview that Prasad just announced its availability. So absolutely, Biginsights is certified for Power. Yes, Hortonworks is also certified on Power. That's as an alternate Hadoop distribution. Power is infrastructure, right? It's a server family, so the server family. Any software that supports Linux on Power can support that environment. So Hortonworks has chosen to do so, but here we're featuring the combination of Biginsights and Power. The Power server lineup, as I mentioned, extends from a variety of different cloud providers supporting Power to enhance workloads through the cloud. We have an LC line, whenever you see L associated with Power server, that means the server's only designed to support Linux. This could be, of course, any of the core distributions of Linux are supported across this family. The LC line servers are your typical scale-out servers, 1 or 2 socket, 20 core, 1 terabyte capable servers, as I mentioned, extremely price competitive with Intel while offering some unique advantages in terms of I/O and memory capabilities, which I'll cover in a second. But for other workloads where customers are looking more for really enterprise-grade reliability, the ability to run Hadoop or Spark environments on the larger and even more resilient members of this family is also an option. Most of our core reference configurations will be based upon this scale-out Linux family, which is what most customers would expect for a typical Hadoop cluster. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about OpenPOWER. So next slide, please. So OpenPOWER, a couple years ago, IBM really opened up the Power chip and processor, recognizing that collaboration through an open environment, just as it's worked for Hadoop and Spark in terms of open source software, can be extremely valuable for an open source processor and surrounding peripherals. So since that time, we now have over 300 companies innovating all layers of this stack, from the chip through attached I/O and acceleration devices such as NVIDIA, who've with IBM released some very unique capabilities called NVLink for accelerated CPU to GPU processing, offering 2.8x throughput between the CPU and GPU compared to any comparable x86 configurations. And then many other examples, Mellanox for high-performance networking, computer manufacturers like Tyan or Supermicro building their own OpenPOWER servers, cloud partners like Rackspace offering their own OpenPOWER server within their cloud environment, Linux distributors, Ubuntu, Red Hat, or even cloud hyperscale providers like Google, who are looking to build a Power 9 server for use within their own data center environment. So what this really means from a client point of view is innovation coming from this rich contribution and speed to innovation, the same benefits that you'd see through open source software now applied to open source hardware. So it's a rich ecosystem of companies both building Power servers and building accelerated additions to Power servers to really drive this as a leadership platform. Next slide, please, Prasad. So I talked about sort of the flexibility, being able to scale out, scale up. In terms of just head-to-head comparisons of some core capabilities for Power versus Intel, 8 threads per core versus 2 threads per core, so 4x threads per core. This allows for workloads that can really benefit from parallelization. A lot of the deep learning, machine learning, or even SQL workloads that can be parallelized and driven through this significant thread capacity. Can really benefit from that. So, think about a 20-core processor, 160 threads. You can drive significant throughput that is otherwise could be constrained by a 2 threads per core model. And it's, of course, selectable depending on the workload. You can run 2, 4, 8 threads just to ensure the right balance of multi-threading and throughput. And then just core memory capability in terms of 4x memory bandwidth, significant more cache to ensure a very low latency access to the on-processor cache. So all of what this drives is it helps overcome the declining benefits of Moore's law. Partly is addressed through these type of processor enhancements, and then beyond these enhancements, we're also looking, and what we have is attaching accelerators, FPGA, GPU through unique technology, something called OpenCAPI, which is a accelerated I/O capability that allows attached accelerators to operate directly with on processor memory. So it removes the throughput constraints of PCIe connections and allows you to really get the value out of attached accelerators to further ramp up these type of compute nodes. Next slide, please. So just one example of a workload that can benefit from this degree of optimization, processor advantage, is certainly Spark. So this is from a cluster result showing 7-node compare running Spark Bench, which is an open source mixed Spark workload that highlights these benchmarks across machine learning, SQL, and graph. And these are good examples of workloads that can benefit from large memory and large thread capacity. You can see in some cases up to 3x per core advantage on aggregate, 2x per core advantage across the benchmark. And then ultimately, rubbers in the road, price performance, being able to do head-to-head web pricing compares and showing that these workloads can on aggregate offer a 1.5x price performance advantage. And of course, results will vary as Spark releases change and node-to-node compares change. But typically for most big data analytics workloads on Power, we find landing somewhere in this 1.5 to 2x price performance advantage window. And I think that's it for the Power story. So we welcome those who'd like to try Biginsights on Linux on Power. As mentioned, Tech Preview supports Red Hat 7.2 or 7.3 running on Linux on Power environment. And if you need to gain access to environment to do that test, please contact your IBM system representative, and we can make benchmark centers or loaner equipment available to give it a try. Prasad, back to you.
Thanks, Steve. So just to reinforce, so we now have option of either Intel or Power Platform for Biginsights 4.3. So with that, let's get into a little bit about overview of the different capabilities. So I mentioned in our earlier slides that we can broadly classify the capabilities in two buckets, easy to get insights and enterprise readiness. So let's talk a little bit about what are the features in the easy to get insights area. So the first one comes with the ability to tap into the power of Spark. So as I mentioned earlier, we are now providing Spark 2.1 with 4.3 release. With 4.2 release, customers had Spark 1.6, so 2.1 comes significantly faster than 1.6. It comes with an ANSI-compliant parser that can run all the 99 queries in CPCDS. We talked a little bit about the notebook already. I think there was a question on that. So we are going to provide the ability to integrate with Jupyter Notebook as part of this 4.3 release. And along with Jupyter Notebook, we'll also provide the ability to integrate with IBM's data science experience as and when they announce it for on-prem availability. Right? Today it's available on cloud, but when they make it, when they make an announcement about its availability on-prem, customers will be able to integrate with it. Strongly encourage you all to take a look at what's available on the cloud today and see the differentiating capabilities of data science experience. Let's talk a little bit about BigSQL. So BigSQL, along with this release, provides the ability to have a bidirectional integration with Spark. It also will integrate with the Ranger. So we have a Ranger plugin for BigSQL that allows for unified policy administration. It has a SQL compatibility with Oracle, so customers now can easily switch their applications on Oracle or to the Big Data IOP platform via BigSQL capability. Okay, BigSQL tables will support Web HDFS with this release. We are also announcing our support BigSQL support on top of Hortonworks distribution 2.5 with this release. So customers can run BigSQL if they already have Hortonworks 2.5 version. They can use BigSQL with 4.3 on top of it. So along with 4.3 release, we have Ambari 2.4.2 version included in it. So Ambari 2.4.2 brings with it some significant capabilities. One of the features will be the ability to use Ambari with SystemML. SystemML is again another Apache open source component contributed by IBM. And now customers can install and manage system.ml through our Ambari. Okay, and then we have some improvements for the text analytics product that we ship along with Biginsights. Text analytics will now support the extraction jobs on top of Spark 2.1. It also comes with some performance improvements. Customers will also be able to make use of external dictionaries and tables for the custom-built extractors.
Prasad, one question about text analytics. The question is, are there any plans to have text analytics in the IOP distribution?
No, text analytics is an IBM proprietary solution. It is not part of Apache open source. So I'm not sure why that question came up. Is there any other details?
No, that's it.
Okay. So moving on to the other bucket, which is enterprise-ready capabilities. Let's talk about what's some of the features that are part of IOP that we are shipping along with 4.3. And so the first one is Ambari 2.4.2. So Ambari 2.4.2 comes with significant enhancements across several different areas, and one of them is rollback access control. So with 4.2, we had 3 roles: Ambari admin, operator, and read-only. But with 2.4.2, we have 6 granular levels of role-based access. And in 4.3, we are also shipping Ranger 0.6.2 and Knox 0.11. So Ranger now provides 6 plugins. So the new ones are Solar and Kafka. That is for the open source components. And as I mentioned earlier, we are also supporting BigSQL with Ranger. So Ranger 6.2 also includes the PAM support. And Knox has significant capabilities in terms of single sign-on support using Pack4J. Okay, so additional capabilities that we get through Ambari include Grafana dashboards for easy management of metrics. Ambari 2.4.2 also introduces new log search capabilities, and it has enhancements to some of the alerting capabilities. So added support for blueprints in terms of Ranger, Kerberos, and rack info support. So we are shipping Kafka 0.10.2 along with Biginsights 4.3. So as part of the Kafka, we are also introducing Kafka Connect along with 2 connectors, HDFS and JDBC. So the Ambari 2.4.2 also comes with Woozy Workflow Editor, and the Woozy Workflow Editor will be in a tech preview mode as only, as it's the first early version, and we want to wait and watch as it matures. And so we are introducing it as a tech preview. So we talked about BigSQL, so a number of performance enhancements have gone into BigSQL as well. BigSQL can run all the 99 queries like Spark SQL, but it can run much faster and more efficiently. and it can easily scale up to a factor of 100 terabytes. Okay. It comes with increased federation capabilities, with updates to some of the drivers. It also comes with enhancements for analyze, for better performance and statistics management. So there was a question earlier on BigR. So this slide captures essentially what we are trying to do with BigR. So BigR is based on the MapReduce technology. So we want to put BigR in a maintenance mode, but then we want to contribute the BigR capabilities into SparkR and request our customers to shift their focus towards SparkR, along with the Spark package called HydraR. So with a combination of SparkR and HydraR, customers should be able to leverage most of the capabilities they were used to from the BigR product that we have. So BigR will still be available, but we are encouraging customers to shift towards SparkR. So any questions so far?
We don't have any questions right now.
Okay, that's good. So this slide captures the overall component currency for IBM Open Platform 4.3. So it includes a refresh of most of the components. We are shipping more or less the latest version of most of the components that are available. Some of the highlights here are we are shipping Ambari 2.4.2 with Hadoop 2.7.3 version. We are shipping Ranger 0.6.2, Spark 2.1, and Kafka 0.10. So those are some of the highlights of the distribution. I think can go through the rest. I think we have updates to almost all the components here. Hive, we are still keeping at a 1.2.1. The latest version of Hive that's available is 2.1 in the open source. When we go GA, we will make Hive 2.1 as a tech preview mode. Currently, ODPI certification also does not support Hive 2.1. So we will make that available as a tech preview choice. But 1.2.1 will be the version that we will support in the GA release. So that basically covers a high-level overview of what's new with the 4.3 release. I think there will be a lot of questions on deeper dive on some of the other capabilities that we have. So we want to continue this conversation, focus on a specific topic every time we come here. So want to get feedback from our customers on the topics that are of interest for them. So I put several topics here as suggestions, like, want to know more about how to work with Spark 2.1 and some of the features it offers, want to better understand BigSQL and how to leverage it, such as, making it work with Cognos or federating it across different data stores, how to make use of Big Replicate for the data replication needs, setting up security permissions with Ambari, Ranger, Knox, etc., single sign-on with Knox, and also how to upgrade from the multiple earlier versions of Biginsights to the latest release, Biginsights 4.3. On that point, Biginsights 4.3 will be an in-place upgrade from 4.2 to 4.3. If I haven't mentioned that earlier, just want to bring that up. And also any other topic that may be of interest. So if you want to hear more on any specific topic, do send me a note. I have my email ID here, pprasad@us.ibm.com. And we will organize the next sessions based on what you want to hear from us. Okay. That's all I had. On Anna, any other questions before we close the call?
No, there are no other questions. Anyone has any questions? Okay, just got one. I understand that an upgrade for the analytics server for connectivity to SPSS modeler is not yet available. When can a stable coexistence of SPSS and Biginsights be expected?
We are working with SPSS, so we will announce what is the certified version of SPSS to work with Biginsights 4.3 in the announced letter that will be coming out just before our release in April.
Any other questions? No, I think that's it. Prasad. Oh, hold on. Yeah, no, just no more questions. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you Prasad and Steve for providing all this valuable information today.
Thank you, Anna, and thanks everyone for taking the time to join us today.